Today, I'm delighted to be joined by James Stirling. James is an experienced personal trainer who has built up an online community of over 362,000 people and counting on Instagram under the brand London Fitness Guy. With a degree in sports science under his belt too, James has always been passionate about sport and fitness with a focus on offering everyone accessible home and gym workouts for a happier and healthier lifestyle, something that's actually been pretty important over the last year. So, firstly, James, thank you so much for sparing the time to speak to me. I know you're an extremely busy man, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Pleasure, mate. I can't believe you nailed that intro first time.
You know
I should be congratulating you on that before we do anything.
I have to concentrate so much beforehand, and I'm reading it. I'm like, I know I'm going to mess it at some point, but no, I'm happy with that. I'll take
No,
it.
you nailed it. You nailed
it. James, let's start off by just you speaking about a little bit about yourself and like how you've got to where you are and how you sort of got into the fitness industry.
Yeah, I've got a really kind of mixed background when it comes to work. Actually, I did my degree in sports science when I was at uni, obviously in Southampton. But I didn't really have any intention of going down the route of being a personal trainer, which is really interesting now to end up being a personal trainer.
Yeah.
But I'd always kind of wanted to work in more of a established business as managing a team and all that sort of stuff. I guess like when you're at school, you're always told that's the kind of route you should be going down. And
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like as a personal trainer, actually, it's kind of like, you get a bit of a slack for being, a personal trainer. But it's such a difficult job and also a really rewarding job. So I'm really glad I did. But, I'd gone to uni, I'd come out of uni, I did a grad scheme, I had some really interesting jobs working in sport. And a lot of my roles are around either getting adults participating in sport for improved health or using sport as a vehicle to help kids who are involved in gangs and crime and drugs, and pull them out of these kind of situations where they're involved in perhaps with the wrong people, and using sport to pull them away from that and teach them about how they can be more successful in their life and kind of show them a different pathway, I guess.
Yeah. So what was like the initial sort of, like, I mean, I know you said about being a manager of a company and that sort of all. Yeah, you're right. Like when you're at school, that's sort of like what the route that you naturally think about going to, I suppose, when you want to be successful. But what was like the initial thing that made you start doing actual personal training or like one-to-one sessions? Was there like a
Pure enjoyment? Yeah, I mean, it's I always think that being a personal trainer, you're really lucky because you actually get to do something you love every single day. And I know that's really cheesy and a bit cliche these days, but I'm sure all personal trainers will say, they're teaching something they're really passionate about, and that's why they've gone into the job of being a personal trainer and being able to help people and share your passions with them. I think is such an amazing job to be able to do, and to call that work, I think is a really fortunate thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people struggle with one-to-one PTing, I mean, after they've done it for a little bit of time, is the hours, because obviously it's unsociable hours, early mornings, late evenings, weekends and stuff. So, I mean, something I really wanted to ask you, James, and I'm sure everyone's dying to know the answer to this from you, is that what sort of was the change from wanting to go one-to-one into online? I know we had like a really brief conversation before this started about actually you're missing the one-to-one side of it, but yeah, what made you like change your mind and want to go down that route?
Yeah, well, I guess it's like I said at the start, being a personal trainer is a really challenging, tough, physically demanding job.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't really anticipate just how physically demanding it can be. And when I first started as a personal trainer, I'd been working for businesses for 3 or 4 years and just kind of doing bits of PT on the side. But when I decided to do it full time, I just said yes to everything. So I'd be doing group classes, spin classes, PT sessions, boot camps, you name it. I was pretty much going out there and doing it determined to make my business work. I guess I went down a slightly different route in that I never worked for a chain, like a gym chain. I went straight in as being self-employed, which I guess a lot of personal trainers kind of weigh up which one to do first. But I was determined to make it happen under my own name, and I just said yes to probably too much initially. And I remember coming back kind of 8 o'clock in the evening from teaching a late spin class, just completely drained and grey. I did that for about a year and lost so much weight. And again, like, it's
Really?
you're on your feet all day, obviously, as a personal trainer. You're
Yeah.
teaching classes, and I always say to people, as a personal trainer, if you're doing 4 sessions a day, let's say, and every 10 minutes you're doing a couple of demos of the exercise, well, over 4 hours, 5 hours,
Yeah.
that really builds up, and you end up basically doing an additional workout that you haven't really compensated for. So I was
Yeah.
trying to balance everything. To be honest with you, I really burnt out. And I said to myself, I'm going to take a little step back and really evaluate what I want to do now, and actually reducing my hours and earning less money from PT was actually made me enjoy it a lot more and really focus on delivering as high quality sessions as I possibly could in the ones that I did deliver. So
With the
in terms of moving to
yeah.
Sorry, I was saying, in terms of moving, I kind of waffling a bit there, but in terms of your initial question about moving into online, I think it's because I'd done it for so many years, and I'd reached a point where I was saying to myself, I can't keep doing early mornings and late nights. How can I move my business and keep doing what I love, but perhaps make the hours a little bit more sociable for myself?
Yeah. I mean, with that in mind, and I know you said you started off like as a like your own business and stuff, but agreeing to do that group training sessions and all that sort of stuff, do you think that really helped you? Like, you wouldn't change what you originally started off doing, because I guess it's sort of giving you a bit of an idea of how you want to work now and how you want to manage your own business.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as a group exercise instructor like spin, or we have a class here like Hit in London called Hit and Run, which is half treadmill, half floor based class, and I was doing things like that, and I think it really teaches you how to deliver successful classes online as well, whether that now be through, which was never a thing, but whether that now be through Zoom or Eventbrite or any of these platforms now where you can take classes online. It's
Mm.
really helped me to be able to be confident in my delivery of those. So I'm actually really fortunate I did go down the class or group exercise route as well, because I think it's made me a better group exercise instructor
Mm.
now through a digital perspective as well.
Mm. Have you had to adapt quite a bit and like learn new skills in the last 12 months because of COVID and stuff, like teaching online classes? Because I guess it wasn't really something that you did too much beforehand. I mean, you might have done. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I've done a few like corporate sessions and things like that for businesses, and
Ah.
but not a huge amount, to be honest. I think it probably took me a few months probably to really kind of get to grips with how I prefer to deliver online sessions. What's really challenging about doing any session through Zoom, I imagine anyone that is taking sessions on Zoom will kind of understand and relate. But that kind of first session where you realize you've got no one in front of you, and you are literally telling your camera to do extra reps, or come on and move it a little bit more, you can do more, and it's that kind of interaction that's really challenging. I
Mm.
mean, I don't really. Sometimes I say bizarre stuff when I'm doing these sessions, and I think to myself, why did I say that? But now I just don't really care. I think it's quite funny, so I'll laugh at myself during the sessions for just saying ridiculous stuff. But I think that adds to the fun. It's personal trainers. We are there to deliver an experience,
Mm.
especially when it's online, whether obviously backed by quality in terms of what you're delivering, but also to make it fun and enjoyable for the people that are taking part in those sessions.
Mm. I mean, do you mute them all when you're on Zoom, or do you let them kind of speak and you can hear them back? Or
Usually I will do like a mute,
yeah,
and then at the end do like any questions kind of thing, so
yeah.
at least it gives people. But it's like, all, especially in corporate ones, you just don't get many questions back at the end of it. I think everyone's just like knackered from doing the workout, and they're happy to go and have the shower and get on with their days. So it's I prefer to do it muted, otherwise you just end up with some sounds of dogs barking and coming running in mid session, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's my preferred.
I'd be the exact same. Um, James, I think like one of the things that I wanted to ask you, like most importantly today, is obviously the online fitness industry has become extremely competitive over recent years, and in the last 12 months, probably grown quite a bit, and probably going to continue to do so. I mean, something I want to do is pick your brains on the advice and what you would give to someone who wants to grow their fitness business and social media presence. And like, how is it that you establish your brand with the London Fitness Guide? Because obviously it's such a big brand now, and it's obviously doing extremely well. And yeah, like, what sort of advice would you have for people in looking to do something similar?
I think initially is just having that belief in the message you're putting out there. I mean, social media now is completely different. You've got really outspoken people who, are almost kind of, I guess,
Controversial.
showcasing. Yeah, I guess controversial is the right word saying it. It's never been my style. I'm more about just being myself and being positive. I thought
Yeah.
personally it doesn't work for me. But you know, um, I think that the most important thing is to have a message and something you believe in and stick to that, because I don't think there's anything worse than seeing people change their tone or trying to be someone else, or trying to find something unique that they can use, which is absolutely fine. But as long as your message is consistent, I think that's probably the most important thing. And then people buy into your messaging and what you're all about, and hopefully like it, and then want to train with you, or do an online workout with you, whatever it might be. So I would say consistency in your message, and belief in your own message about what you're sharing.
And is that what you would say, like, how you built up your brand? Like, was it just a bit of consistency and making sure that you're giving the same sort of content and like delivering the overall same sort of message?
Yeah, I mean, I start my whole platform and business has always been about helping people who perhaps aren't into exercise get into exercise, find a love for it, and then go into the gym or go into CrossFit, wherever it might be, and kind of create these pathways. And that's always what I wanted to do. I wanted to hit the people who weren't yet fully engaged in exercising, who are on the cusp of like dropping out or continuing. It's kind of 50-50, and do something for those guys. And whether it was body weight or with limited equipment, I really believe that you could get people engaged in exercise for a sustained period of time, for 3 months, let's say, and then they would stay with it and create that habit and continue. So my kind of, I mean, I guess after a year of running the business, I was like, right, I'm gonna really go for this now. I'm gonna hit these people, give them options, give them variety, teach them how to make the most out of training from home with limited equipment or body weight, and
Yeah.
really deliver that well. And I think that when I focused on doing that was when I really kind of found most of the growth in my own business, really, and platform.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the online side of things, I guess you've had a few hurdles along the way in like trying to build your online business. Like, what's that sort of the top tips that you'd have for people? I mean, everyone's going to use different softwares or whatever that might be, or not even software related, but you personally managing an online fitness business. Like, is there any tips or anything that you would look at hindsight and be like, oh, I wish I did that differently? Or
Yeah, I mean, there's so much I've learned along the way. Having an online business in physical exercise is completely different to running a one-to-one PT business. You have to learn how to market your programs,
Mm,
how to build your programs, how to talk to people, and how to price it, and all these things. And
yeah,
I'd gone from selling programs really cheap and not getting the buy-in from the people that were buying them because they were so cheap, to now kind of finding a middle ground, I guess, where people will purchase a program and commit to it, because I think that's the most important thing. You want every single person who buys your plan online and wants to work with you to get a great result. And obviously online, you don't have that one-to-one angle of being with them in the gym every day. And I guess you're naturally going to get a little bit more drop off in terms of commitment to a program than you would if you were there pushing them in the gym, lifting the weights with them and so on.
mm,
So I think that's what was my biggest obstacle at the beginning, is finding the correct price point where you get a buy-in,
yeah,
but it's not so expensive that you price the majority of people out of it.
mm,
And then once I found and kind of understood that, then it was about how do you market your product, whether that be through Instagram or Facebook or advertisement, or whatever it might be, to then actually kind of building the community angle around what you're offering as well. So
mm,
people feel like they're part of something.
mm. That community thing you just mentioned, James, like, building a community is so important for businesses, as I'm sure you would be the first to agree to that. But because obviously you have so many clients and such a huge online presence, do you find it harder to keep that community, or do you find it easier?
There's a lot more work I think that goes into it. But I mean, like, you know, when it comes to Instagram, I will spend a lot of time on Instagram replying to people, replying to comments, because I genuinely want to, and I want to understand and learn about the people who are working out with me, so to speak, online.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I want to know what they're finding challenging. I ask for feedback all the time from the people who are doing my programs on my PT Hub, and I'll say, you know, how are you getting on? What can I do to improve it? Because
Yeah.
I love to see the positives of it, you know, enjoying the workouts, but I'm more interested in learning how it can be better to make that the value of the program even better for them. And when you've got the likes of Peloton and all these other platforms where they can
Mm.
afford to do it so cheap,
Yeah.
it can be really competitive, and people are buying into you and what you can offer. So I think it's, you know, you have to constantly ask yourself, what can I do that takes me to a different level of them? I guess that kind of one-to-one interaction is up there with one of the value-added pieces you can do.
And you always mention about things that like you'd love to improve or love to change within certain aspects of the software, obviously just to make it better for your clients, which is absolutely what we firstly love to hear. And hopefully it's something that we always have on the radar anyway. But no, like you mentioned about like replying to comments and like keeping in touch with your clients. Is that where you mainly get the feedback from then? Is just like from messages and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think that's either me asking directly for it or people naturally giving that feedback back to me, I guess.
Mm,
Like I say, I think, you know, I don't think, yeah, I think you have to be fairly open-minded to getting feedback. It's really easy to be so absorbed in what you're doing that you kind of be like, oh, you know, you don't like getting that negative feedback. But for me, that's the most important part, and I would choose having the negative feedback over the positive any day of the week, because it means I can really build on from what I've created to make it better.
mm,
And I think, you know, in terms of online, it's taken me a couple of years now, and I'm still not really there yet, but really crack what I want to do with it. I've constantly changed stuff and done things differently and added this, taken away that, just to try and make it better. And every time you do that, it does get kind of a little bit further down the chain, but it's like
mm.
building a new business altogether. I do think it takes kind of a couple of years to really start to grasp what you want to do.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone's gone in and like nailed it first time and been like, this is the perfect program, this is the perfect price point.
Mm.
It does just take a bit of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think, you know, regardless of your following or regardless of, you know, your email base or whatever it might be, it's hard to get people to buy a product, and I think that's the main thing. Is, you know, you think you're just going to put it out there and you're going to be inundated with thousands of people pressing purchase and going, but it's just not that easy, unfortunately.
Mm. Talking about your branding and your following, your brand and for me personally, I think your branding and your social content are like perfect together. I think they work extremely well. Like
Oh, cheers, mate. I appreciate
we
that.
and like we look at yours all the time because we're always like it's just so like it's not over the top ever, and it's not like in your face. It's good content. It's what people want to see. And I think people might find that a little bit hard to sort of get the right balance between their brand and the content. And like, what is it that you found that helped you sort of get to where you are with that?
I think just being yourself. I think like it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's really easy these days, especially with social media, to look at what other people are doing
Mm,
and kind of replicate it. And I think I just feel like sometimes I fall down the trap of looking at what other people are doing and thinking, oh, maybe I should do that. I kind of have to rein it back into myself and have an internal chat with myself and say, actually, you know what, keep doing what you're doing. It's
yeah.
fine. So it's really difficult with social media and that pressure and comparison that comes with it.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I think, I mean, in terms of, I always just want to be a relatable, normal PT who wants to help people. So I don't think I'd like to think there's no ego there from my side. I just want to be able to do what I want to do and help the
yeah.
people that want to come and work with me and train with me. So hopefully that's the kind of message again that comes through the content I share.
Mm. When it comes to Instagram, do you have like a pattern of like when you'll post things, or is there certain days that you'll post like maybe a workout or maybe information or something, or is it sort of just as and when you feel?
I try to. I sat down on Saturday night and I said to myself, right, I'm going to give myself a little bit more structure. And by Monday morning, it was out of sync again. So I'm pretty poor at doing that. But I'm not the most organized person, but I guess in a way I kind of like it like that, and it kind of works for me. And
Mm.
I will do one thing and then say, right, I'm going to go and do this now. So I'll go and do that, and then I think about Instagram around 12 to 3 o'clock, and then yeah, I just kind of I guess I have a loose structure, but it's a little bit all over the place depending on what's going on in the day.
How do you find your work and life balance? Because I guess like from what I see, James, you're extremely busy and you're always doing something, or whether it's socials or whether it's in the park doing a workout with your mates or whatever that might be. Like,
Mm.
how do you find it? Do you ever struggle a little bit, or does it seem to go pretty smooth?
No, it definitely doesn't go smooth all the time. There are weeks where it does. I mean, at the moment, I am filming probably four workouts, real like full time 40-minute workouts a week, and then editing them and then uploading them to the platform and so on, which takes a big chunk of my week out. And the problem I
Yeah,
find is that when I when I fall back on that and when timings start to fade in the week, like it's happening this week, for example, I end up having to shoot workouts on Saturdays and Sundays because I haven't got them done in the week. So um, I think it probably goes through periods where it's great and my weekends are off from work. But then at the moment, for example, the last 8 weeks, I've been filming every Saturday and Sunday, and then
yeah.
working Sunday afternoons to get everything on there. Really, so yeah, it goes a bit up and down.
Yeah. So are you trying to now give yourself a Saturday and Sunday off and work during the week? That's sort of like what you've got to at
I would
that point.
love to. It's always the aim, but stuff just does kind of fall, and then I end up, like I say, like recording workouts on Saturdays and Sundays. But the plan is I will always have that done by Friday, but it just rarely happens at the moment.
Mm. So I mean, like for you, James, like for me, like I feel like your business is, I mean, flying at the moment. Like you're doing extremely well. Like the content, and you're consistently growing. It looks like. Is like what's sort of like the next step for you? Is there anything that you want to like achieve, or have you got like a 2-year plan, 5-year plan? Like what is it that you want to do? Just or continue doing what you're doing?
You know what? I think when I first started the business and PTing and being self-employed, I had this long 5-year plan of where I wanted to be. But now the industry is moving so fast, it's changing so quickly that I try not to be so hard on myself to have a plan now. There are things, the app and my PT Hub side of things, I want to keep growing, and it's
Mm.
still having launched a new kind of, I guess, way of working on that. That's going to take another year or so to build up. There are things I do outside of kind of PT. I've got a clothing line out in or a collection out in August with a high street store,
Oh
which
wow.
is really exciting. So we're just doing the planning on how that collection is going to look and how it fits and how the materials are, which is
Yeah.
really
It's
good. I
exciting.
love sportswear, so that's like an absolute dream
That's
for me to be able to do that.
awesome.
Yeah, and there's just kind of little mini projects on the side, as well as PTing hopefully soon, and back to classes as well, because I teach about 4 or 5 classes in London a week as well. So yeah, there's just a kind of different projects scattered around. I just try not to focus too much on where I'm going to be in a year, 2 years, or 5 years time.
Yeah. You touched on, and like just one of the last things I really want to ask you, James. I know how busy you are, and
No, that's all good. Always
I
happy to
don't want you
chat.
having to work on a weekend next weekend
Yeah,
because of my
I'll
tap.
make you. I'll make you do it with me. We'll be doing the podcast on the Sunday. So
Oh, I'm extremely busy next weekend.
yeah, it's Easter. Yeah, you got the time off. So
No, what? No, you said it's going so like the industry itself is, I mean, changed rapidly, and it's accelerated so quickly over the last year, 2 years, or even like realistically the last 6 months. I just wanted to get your thoughts on like the last 12 months and what you've seen as an industry, really.
I mean, I think the last 12 months in fitness has been crazy. I mean, from my own side, I've gone from being one of a few people who deliver home workouts to now being one of many. So it's been amazing to see as well, and some awesome, like, trainers doing incredible things and helping people and doing stuff that they wouldn't normally be doing. And I think that's amazing for the industry, and having this kind of digital avenue now. I'm sure people have probably flourished over lockdown and won't be going back to doing PT hours and stuff like that because they've created a new business. I'm sure there's other PTs out there who are desperate to get back and have really struggled. And I guess I've kind of gone through a bit of a roller coaster really as well. I mean, when it kind of had about 3 months where I was trying to think, how was I going to use this time effectively? And in the end, on the second lockdown, I kind of said to myself, I'm not going to put that pressure on myself now, and I'm just going to sit back and plan for when things do open. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but the industry itself, I think, is just going to go crazy with people either desperate to get back into exercising in a place like a gym, or having found a love for working out online and opening up this whole other avenue of exercise and home workouts. So I think it's really a really exciting time, and I think there's still a little bit of confusion about where it's going to go. How things are going to kind of pan out. But I think it's a really exciting time with all these new doors opened up for personal trainers to really use.
I completely agree with you. Do you think it'll ever go back to what it was and like everyone still continuing to do one-to-one, or do you think a large majority of it is going to be online indefinitely?
Yeah, I do. I think people are desperate to get back into the gym. I'm sure, just like there are PTs who hate doing home workout programming and whatnot, there are people who really hate working out from home. So I just think it's going to be endless opportunities for people to either train in a gym or a studio, wherever it might be, or do it online. I don't think there's ever going to be a dying out of either of them now, really,
Yeah.
which I think is
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like, it might even have opened up like an avenue for people that never even thought about going into fitness, but now there's the option to do it like an online home workout for probably a cheaper price, to be completely honest, because they haven't got that one-to-one person with them. That might you actually probably get reaching more people potentially.
Yep. I mean, just from people I've got who I work with at the moment, there have been people who have dropped out and cancelled their subscription because the gyms have opened again. There have been people who have cancelled their gym memberships because they're happy working out online. So yeah, I just think we've got new audiences to work with in different capacities now, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Jay, I could talk to you all day, to be honest with you. And
I mean, I'm enjoying it. Always happy to answer.
And ask about your life, but no, James, I'll leave it as that. But I absolutely loved having you on here. You are probably genuinely one of the nicest blokes in the industry that I've ever spoken to.
Oh, cheers, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We wish you all the very best in whatever you do.
Cheers, mate. And thanks for all your support over the years as well. I mean, it's before we got onto this, I was saying, God, I always hammer you guys with emails, so I always feel a little bit guilty.
No, I love it. It keeps me in the job, James. That's the thing.
Good. I'll keep going then.
No, James, all the best, mate. I hope you get a weekend off, and I really do appreciate it. And thank you for joining.
No, cheers, mate. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.